with the word guilty 4 times as the judge, Kalia Stoffel Reed, read each of the 4 counts against him: 2 counts of first-degree involuntary manslaughter and 2 counts of armed criminal action. He was behind the wheel when 41-year-old Letty Barcio and 21-year-old Alyssa Cordova were walking across a marked crosswalk after the Drake concert last year and were killed. Henderson has only been in jail 1 day since that crash, but the judge revoked his bond, so he'll have to serve until sentencing on September 19th. The judge agreed with the state that he might be a flight risk.
First responders and volunteers are still looking for people missing after the devastating flash floods in central Texas. Over 100 people are confirmed dead, including children and counselors from an all-girls summer camp in Kerrville. Kerr County Sheriff Larry Lefio.
At present, 5 Camp Mystic campers and 1 counselor still remain unaccounted for.
2 sisters at a Christian girls camp where the Guadalupe River did extensive damage. Camp Wildemar, in the pre-dawn hours of last Friday, reunited with their parents and head back to their home in Fort Worth. Rob Sell and his wife drove down, not knowing their daughters Alice and Martha were safe.
I had to wait a minute for them to hug their mom first. I'm kind of chopped liver, but ultimately when I did get the hugs, they were really sweet.
A ruling today from Wisconsin's Supreme Court. CBS's Chanel Cole.
Clearing the way for the state of Wisconsin to ban conversion therapy, which is the practice of using therapy to try to convert LGBTQ plus people to heterosexuality or traditional gender expectations. That practice has been scientifically discredited.
Conversion therapy has been banned in 23 states and the District of Columbia. The Dow from Stifel's down 144 points to 44,262.
Quite warm and humid with some sun this afternoon. We'll also get a couple of thunderstorms into the evening that can produce flooding downpours and damaging winds, high 90 degrees. I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Heather Zare on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Sponsored by the Penn Mutual Life Insurance Company. They believe the Penn Mutual insurance is the central part of a sound financial plan and that it can make an enduring impact for generations to come. Talk to your independent advisor. Go to pennmutual.com/STL. Penn Mutual, trusted for life. We've got sunshine. It's 87 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
This is the Gashouse Gang on 104.1 FM KMOX. Sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, a Daikin comfort dealer. And by Anderson Hospital, a Newsweek World's Best Hospital. Now, the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Great to be along with you with our producers, Matt Pajeski and Frank Ladd, and our co-hosts, Chris Ranji and Bernie Miklas. I'm Tom Ackerman. It's an absolute pleasure on this Tuesday afternoon to not only welcome in the manager of the Cardinals, Oli Marmol, but to announce that KMOX, as you heard at the top of the hour in the news there, has renewed its relationship and a multi-year extension with the Cardinals as their radio partner. We will be the flagship station of the team for the foreseeable future, as we have made that announcement today through our company Odyssey. So this radio station, 104.1 FM and 1120 AM, will continue to be the radio home of the Cardinals. And Oli, we appreciate you being with us. This has been a relationship that you've been a part of as well. And in the release by both Odyssey and the Cardinals, they both mentioned the Gashouse Gang as part of the additional programming. We continue to bring in more Cardinals coverage on this radio station. We want to thank you for all that you do for us.
No doubt, man. I've enjoyed it. We've talked about it quite a bit. This is something that, for me, I think it's a great way to communicate to the fan base, and it's deserving. And the way we've set this up this year, where it allows them to kind of interact a little bit more and have questions and be able to have those questions answered, is meaningful. So I'm glad to be a part of it, and I appreciate you guys.
Well, we appreciate you. It is one of the great franchises in sports, a massive fan base with a lot of passion, and a big reason why KMOX and the Cardinals have been together for so long. You're back home. It's time to play ball back at Busch Stadium. The Cardinals and the Nationals. Tell us about just a subtle shift there in your rotation as you went with Gray as the first starter in this series, followed by Andre Palante and then Miles Michaelis.
Yeah, a lot of Sonny has been just navigating his routine and making sure that we stay on track there. So there's times where it's lined up well from a matchup standpoint. There's times it hasn't, but from a health standpoint, we want to make sure we stay on track there. The most important thing is making sure that he continues to take the ball. This allows him to take 2 starts prior to us going into the All-Star break, so it lined up that way.
Oli, Bernie Miklasz, how are you, sir?
I'm doing well. I'm trying to get my camera going. So if you give me a minute, I'll be on with you guys.
Been there, done that, man. Hey, at least you were there. You were in the starting gate on time, unlike me. So anyway, I wanted to ask you about Sonny Gray. I don't know whether you know or not, but I mean, one of the things, it's been a rough stretch. I don't have to tell the manager of the Cardinals that, but you recently had 2 series with the Cubs, 7 games, and fans were wondering. I think I speak for Tom Ackerman and Chris Ranji and every other media person who interacts with fans. They were wondering, why didn't Sonny Gray pitch in any of the Cubs series? And my answer was, and it's my truthful answer, I'm sure that Oli had a reason for it. And so I said, I will ask him about it first thing when he comes on Tuesday. So tell us why Gray did not start any of the games against the Cubs, because that seems to be really at the forefront of Cardinals fans' irritation, I guess, coming out of those 2 series.
Yeah, if you're lining it up perfectly, which we would have loved to be able to do, then yeah, he takes as many starts against those guys as possible. Unfortunately, that's not how.
Sounds like I think we've lost his audio.
We did lose it.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Let's see. Possible. Oh, there you go.
There we go.
He's
Yeah,
unmuted.
go ahead.
Now you're good, Oli.
You start over, Oli, please. Thanks.
Nope, we've lost his audio connection.
No,
so
we're
we're
lost him.
Yeah, we've lost the audio connection. We'll get right back to it. In fact, let's do this rather than dance around a little bit. Let's take a quick time out. We'll reestablish the audio connection, and we'll dive right into Bernie's first question about Sonny Gray and the Cardinals moving forward. This is the Gashouse Gang. It's sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling, SaligaHeatingandCooling.com, by Anderson Hospital. And the conversation with Oliver Marmol is sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
We started Neovitin because we wanted to create a multivitamin for ourselves. That's why we focus on quality ingredients and formulas with our multivitamins. Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins are formulated with over 20 vitamins and minerals, along with our 4-ingredient physician-formulated proprietary blend for the highest quality daily nutritional support. Give Neovitin 50 Plus multivitamins a try for yourself. Find them at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, and online at neovitin.com.
Life insurance. Why are you putting it off? Can't afford it? Too much hassle? Think you don't need it? There's lots of excuses for putting off life insurance. But if you weren't there, who would pay the mortgage and other bills? With Ethos, you could be covered in 10 minutes and boom, family protected. Ethos, fast and easy online term life insurance. Up to $2 million in coverage with no medical exam. Some policies as low as $1 a day. Answer a few health questions and get your free quote at ethos.com/radio. That's ethos.com/radio.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/facts or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
KMOX is everywhere. 1120 AM, streaming live on the Odyssey app and now at 104.1 FM.
Welcome back. It is the Gashouse Gang. Conversation with Oliver Marmol, sponsored by Siteman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer. Sonny Gray gets the start tonight as the Cardinals take on the Nationals at 6:45. Just wanted to revisit Bernie Miklasz' question. In fact, Bernie, let's just go back to you and have you reestablish here with the manager.
Yeah, Oli, fans were wondering, grumbling basically, that you had 2 series with the Cubs and Sonny Gray, arguably your best starter, didn't start any of the games. I told them, and I would ask you about it, I assumed you had a reason for it. You just don't do things willy-nilly. So there's the question for you.
No, that's perfect and a good question. And part of it is keeping him on a routine that allows him to continue to take the ball all year. ideally, I'd want to take as many starts as possible. I mean, the guys were chasing, and when you look at when we were playing the White Sox, that rain out game that he was supposed to pitch, because of how he does his routine and he ramps up, we weren't able to pitch him the next day. So it pushed him 2 days, which then if he stays on schedule to be able to do what he normally does in between starts and stay healthy, and it pushed him out of that Chicago series and then the following one as well. So I hated it. What wasn't ideal by any means, but us getting rained out while playing the White Sox kind of pushed everything away from how we would have typically done it. So a lot of it has to do with just making sure that this is a real regimen he's on, and he's felt good all year. And in order to keep that true, then we have to stick to it. But the rain out kind of jacked everything up.
And by the way, just for the record, because one of our listeners said, well, Bernie, you were grumbling too. Well, yeah, I was grumbling too. But my purpose today was to ask the question on behalf of the fans who were grumbling. So
no doubt.
I grumble about a lot of things. So, so Steve Wright, you stated the obvious. Good job. Anyway, one follow-up on that. Why is it so important for Sonny to stay in a routine? Is there not a physical concern, but more like just, doing the due maintenance to make sure there are no physical issues?
Yes, there are none at the moment, thankfully. But because we've been super disciplined with it, he's missed time year to year, and to be able to get to middle of July and him feel the way he does, a lot of it is credit to the work he's doing in between, but us sticking to our initial plan and not veering from it. Even, I mean, when you look at, dude, would have loved for him to throw against Chicago both series. I mean, that's what makes the most sense. But we had to veer from that because of the rain out. And if we don't, you run the risk. Is it worth it? Yeah, everyone's going to have a different opinion on that one. But we wanted to stay true, and he's been really good about communicating with us as far as how he feels and what he needs, and we want to honor that. So it's not ideal. I get it. You should ask the question, and people should be grumbling about it. I completely understand it. It's part of it.
I do have a follow-up that I'm going to get to because I don't want to monopolize the conversation, but I'll come back to circle something related, which of course, Michaelis and Fetty. We'll table that for now. And I'll turn it over to one of my good colleagues here.
I was actually going to ask about those two guys.
Oh, okay.
So I can do that. I mean, because, as you can imagine, we have also heard from fans about, their performance lately. They are scheduled to start on Thursday and Saturday, respectively, Michaelis and Fetty. What is the plan moving forward? Is it business as normal with the two of them, or will there be some changes?
Yeah, so here's the reality. You're asking a question that isn't strictly a manager's decision, right? Yesterday was part of this. We'll continue the conversation as soon as I jump off of this call to figure out what the next steps need to look like. I said it in my post game, and in order for Fetty to be successful moving forward, he's going to have to find a solution to several things that are going on, and continuing to just hit the repeat button to me at the moment doesn't make the most sense. So there's a conversation to be had around that, but no decisions have been made at all. But yeah, I think it's pretty obvious that it's not going well. So yeah, as soon as I jump off of this in the next 20 minutes with you guys, I'll get the rest of the staff and group together, and we'll continue to talk about it and come up with very next steps.
When I had John Mozeliak on Sunday, he said, hey, McGreevy is lurking. Those were his words. And he said, we can't hold him down forever. So it's obvious that if you're looking at your options, that's really your option, unless you were to convert, Steven Matz back into a starting position. I guess there are a lot of things you're weighing here.
You guys know where I stand on McGreevy. Love the kid. Love having him here. So that's definitely part of the conversation. I saw in the chat here, I can't see it anymore, but someone asked about using Matz as an opener. That definitely would have been the play on Sunday, but we had to use him to secure that game the previous night. I definitely would have looked at having him do that. but when you have a chance to win a game, you got to take your shot. So we did that on Saturday. We ended up with a win. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways you can look at this. I'd like to have a clearer answer to this over the next day or two.
Along those lines, the concept of an opener, there's a lot of like really good teams that have had, a lot of injury problems with their rotation. AJ Hinch in Detroit, Dave Roberts in LA, and those are just two. And we've seen, a lot of those teams go more often than they would like to with the opener concept and basically use all bullpen games. You have increased bullpen depth with guys like O'Brien and others that have emerged and doing a good job. You have Granillo down in Memphis. I was just wondering, with two spots in your rotation, at least right now, problematic to say the least, have you and Dusty thought about maybe incorporating bullpen games more often to just kind of sidestep maybe more of those problems with a couple of your starters?
Yes. And here's the reality. And I'm trying to figure out how honest to be publicly here. There's a lot of people at the table to make that decision. Okay. And at the end of the day, I want to do what's best for that clubhouse and giving us the best shot to move forward and continue to win games. And that's what part of the discussion will be over the next couple of days. So all of those have been thought through and discussed. And at the end of the day, I want to do what's best for that entire clubhouse. So we'll continue to discuss it. Yeah. I appreciate the question, though.
Sure.
So I know that you probably don't like to, and just saying this is a hypothetical, you don't like to take guys out of a position they're doing very well and like Matt's is doing in a bullpen. But if it comes down to it, where you consider starting him games, is that something you would be comfortable doing, or would you prefer not to?
No, it's an option. Just know that the buildup is going to take time. There's you run a couple risks there of being short in the pen while you build him up. You're going to have to give him 3 to 4 days prior to his start off, and then 3 to 4 days after until you get him past 65, 70 pitches, which is going to take several outings in itself to do. So there's a process to that. It's not just, hey, he starts and he can throw 75 pitches tomorrow. If he starts, he's going to throw 45 pitches tomorrow. And you're going to have a bullpen day, and you're going to have to do that several times to get him built up. So is it an option? Yes, it is an option. Has he been valuable in the pen? Yeah, if you look at his last couple, not ideal with the long ball, but I'd still trust them to get over that hump. I'm not overly concerned with that. So yeah, that's an option. McGreevy's an option. But it all has to, there's a final say in all of this, and we all have to get on the same page.
Oli, there's another side to all of this. Of course, I know we're focusing. I want to shift the conversation as we focused on pitching to offense. How do you explain what has happened there? I mean, it's a lot of zeros. It just seemed out of character for an offense that was really cooking there for a good portion of the season.
Yeah, part of this will sound like an excuse, but I don't care. Herrera is a big part of that lineup. Not having him is real, especially against left-handed pitching when you look at our production there. And guys are banged up, man. They're playing through it, but there's certain guys that are like Nato has been out the last several days, and he's been dealing with a lot of different things, but he's been able to post as of late. We've given him some days off to get on the other side of it. Burleson playing through some. I mean, there's guys that are continuing to post, but they're not 100%, and you're not going to be 100% in July. But offensively, yeah, it's taken a little bit of a turn. You're looking at guys, the league is starting to learn a little bit about some of these young guys, and they're having to make adjustments. When you look at Newt, there's some real things he's working through right now. When you look at Vic, it's no different. Gorman went on a stretch where it looked pretty good, but they're going to start to kind of pitch him differently and see if he can flip the script on him. You go around that entire diamond, and it's not surprising to us as a staff. We knew there would be some real ups and some real downs with this group. We've mentioned that while we were at a high. I said, hey, listen, this at some point we're going to have some lows, and we're going to have to work through it, because that's the nature of having a young group, man. they're going to get figured out, and they're going to have to continue to make adjustments. So we're in that period right now. But I do like how they're responding to it mentally. Even guys that are in a stretch that's not ideal and it's been a little bit lengthier than they would want, I feel like they're handling it well, especially for where they're at in their career. So we'll continue to coach. That's part of this year, man.
Oli, one thought I had was, and listen, by the way, just to put it back on the table, I'm a big fan of Pedro Pages and what he does for the pitching staff.
Sure.
So this is not meant to denigrate him at all. But Pozo is so bleeping good against left-handed pitching, and he's just a good hitter, period. And I know by starting him, you kind of weaken your bench capability, but is there any thought, or how much thought is there to maybe giving Pozo a couple of starts a week rather than one, using him more to get some offense in there? Because if I'm not mistaken, he's solid enough defensively. And if there's some things there that makes that opinion wrong, you can tell me or not tell me. But just the idea about Pozo getting in the lineup more often.
Yeah, Pages does a really nice job behind the plate, and it's hard to measure that unless you know what the game plan is and how he sticks to it and how he veers from it and how he's successful at veering from it at times. So it's hard to put a real number on how good he is back there. But having Pozo catch a couple games a week is something that we'll do. We had some off days that allowed us to keep Pages back there and keep him somewhat fresh. But when you have stretches where you don't have those off days, then yeah, we can put Pozo back there. It is nice to have him off the bench. We don't win that game unless we have him on the bench, and he can come through the way he did. But against left-handed pitching, that's why we went ahead and DH'd him on that Sunday game. So there'll be opportunities for him, and it's been good to see him do what he's doing. Man, this is a good kid. He works hard, doesn't say a word, and just does whatever he's asked to do. But giving him a little bit more opportunity and seeing what we have in that bat, I think makes a lot of sense.
Is there anybody at this point, because we've been talking a lot all season about, this being a year the Cardinals were getting a good look at younger players, because, there's some evaluation you got to do for 2026 and
Sure.
beyond that. But is there anybody that you feel like you haven't gotten a good enough look at yet and would like to see more of them this season?
No, I feel like we have a pretty good grasp on what we have at this halfway point. We're a little beyond the halfway point. I feel confident in our evaluation of what we have. I mean, we'll continue to give guys opportunity, don't get me wrong, and allow them to show what they're capable of. But up to this point, there's not a name that comes to mind where I'm like, gosh, we haven't given this person a decent enough look to allow them to show us what they're capable of. I think we've done a nice job of mixing and matching and giving guys some longer stretches to show that. So now there's not a name that really screams at me at the moment, Chris.
We're going to throw some questions out from our audience, although I see there's like a side conversation going in this thing. So I'm sorting through these comments. Here's Mark. This is an interesting one. Is there a certain amount of pressure on the offensive score when the pitching staff gives up runs like that?
I mean, yes. At times, the offense could feel that, but it also goes the other way when the pitching at times feels like, man, if we don't throw up zeros, we're not going to win, right? So that's an excuse in itself. Each side should handle their business and take just professional at bats regardless of situation and execute the plan. So I don't like to think of it that way. At times you do fall into that rut of allowing that to kind of seep into how you think, but to me it's an excuse. You have a game plan, go execute it on both sides of the ball.
Kind of like the Wednesday game. I mean, you're facing Skeens, but Palante is just out of his mind. An incredible job, and you're not able to support him. I get that. This is John. He had the question about the Gorman sitting for Hampson in that deciding game on Sunday. It says, how do you sit Gorman in a series deciding game but start Garrett Hampson?
You put his name in the lineup. That's how you do it. You give the other guy an opportunity, knowing there's a lot of other factors that are playing into this, and you're facing a really tough left-hander. There's certain left-handers where it makes sense, and there's certain left-handers where it doesn't. You have a guy that's high fly ball, and you want defense out there for Fetty. So there's a lot of different factors to that one. I'm not concerned with sitting Gorman against a lefty, a really, really tough lefty. So, yeah.
Let me toss it back to Bernie for a question. Bernie, go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about Gorman. Around May 26th, it started to really click. And, you and I have had this conversation before, but he continues to really take advantage of the opportunity. So as he has evolved and gained confidence, let's go back to late May when it kind of started in earnest. What is he doing that, first of all, enabled him to make a breakthrough, but then number two, has enabled him to make these quick turnarounds when he is kind of cold for 2 or 3 days, but he gets right back into it and he delivers again. So tell us about his evolution during this time.
We're speaking of Gorman.
Yes.
I think part of it was taking a step back and changing a little bit of like how he's one approach, but two swing. We saw chasing less, just controlling the strike zone, and then the higher contact is what's going to shorten the amount of time that he's in these slumps, right? Like we've seen Gorman super hot, and then he goes on these cold spells where it takes longer for him to get going again. Because of the contact rate, I think we're going to see less of that. He's made some real adjustments, and it's not just patchwork. Like he's going to have his highs and lows, but I do believe that we'll see the shorter cold spells because of the contact rate and what he's doing in the strike zone.
And any update on Jordan Walker you can give us? I know some fans are wondering about that.
Actually, yes. I know he's back in there and going to play a couple more games down below, but I have an update here at 1:00 our time on the full schedule of what that return looks like. So I'm meeting with medical and front office to figure out what that looks like here in about 30 minutes.
I know, Oli, that those of us on the outside looking in, and some of us more than others, pay attention to standings just to kind of, look at where the team is. The playoff race is part of the fun of the season, right? And
no doubt
in the Central Division, the team's fallen back 6.5, but still a game and a half back of the wild card race. How do you, on a daily basis, and I imagine some people are different than others in the clubhouse, in paying attention to standings and how you view what the season is right now? Is it a playoff race still? Is it viewed differently than that? How do you see it in the clubhouse?
Yeah, you pay attention across the league as to what's happening, but at the end of the day, you got to take care of business here. So our guys are focused on how do we win today? I know I said that before. It's not cliche. Like that's truly our focus. So you're aware of what's going on, who's winning, who's not. But at the end of the day, we have to be able to take care of business. We have to be able to execute our game plan on both sides of the ball. And that is my main focus. I know our staff thinks very similar to that. And then players, some pay attention to it, some don't, because at the end of the day, it doesn't change anything. You got to go out there and perform and win today. So it depends on the person. But yeah, I'm aware of kind of where everything's at and what we need to do in order to continue to take our best shot.
This one was actually emailed in from Larry. He actually had two questions. One of them, the gray against the Cubs, which you already answered. The other one about your involvement in the defense. He said, could you tell fans what's typically put on the cards that players have and that they review at various times? Positioning, certain pitch counts, things like that.
Yeah, it has actually a decent amount on there. So their entire lineup and then their bench is on there. And then it's specific to the pitcher that's on the mound. So the positioning will be based on if Palante's on there compared to Michael is compared to a Matt's, it's very different. So it'll tell the guys based on count sensitive and situations kind of where it's best to stand based on just probability, right? So you'll see our guys move in a 2-strike count compared to a 3-1 count compared to there be a runner on first, what that hitter likes to do based on those situations. So the card is just a reference for them to be able to kind of look at in between pitches. And it's served us well. We started doing that several years ago, and it's been an advantage for sure.
Let's do it. Just a few more. Bernie, go right ahead.
Just, you got 6 games to go before the All-Star break. Washington coming in here for 3, then Atlanta. in the aftermath of what a rough, the last 6 games of the road trip, was pretty bad.
Why you leaving why are you leaving the first 3 out?
Well, because of the way it ended.
Exactly. What the hell's that? Huh?
So
Why? Let's count all of them. We went on the road. Count all of them.
You played 9. You 4 and 5. Okay. Well,
okay. So let me ask you a
question.
No. Now I'm asking.
Yeah. Okay. Fine.
We win that last one against the Cubs. Are we sitting here doomsday if we went 5-4 on that road trip with most of our guys being beat up? Exactly. So let the roller coaster is real. Let's hop off of that thing and just walk. We'll be okay.
Well, I agree, but with all due respect, and I'm glad that you beat up on the Guardians, but you couldn't score runs against the Pirates or really the Cubs except the one game, and you got shut out all those times. That's what I mean. It was like a jarring finish to the road trip because it just had some really crazy and bad things going on. So anyway, but your point's well taken, and thank you for giving me a chance to respond. But how important is it where you need something good to happen going into the break? Does this make these final 6 games before the break? Is there any added importance to that other than just you want to win anyway? But is there any extra there?
Extra, no. If there's extra, like if I were to think of it that way, then I feel like that's not the right way for me to think about it, or our staff or our players. Like there's never extra. Like there's just like, are you going to do your job? So if you're trying to do everything with excellence, there's no, this series isn't as important as the next one. They all count as the 162. So the road trip didn't end. And I was just messing with you, but the road trip didn't end the way we wanted it to. Man, I wish we could have snuck in a game. The Pittsburgh one was tough. We just couldn't score any runs. So I wish we could have snuck in an extra win or two, but that's not what happened. But to say that it's extra important now, these next 6, now it's equally as important as any other game we've played, and we're going to approach it. We're trying to do everything with excellence, and that doesn't change regardless of what happened yesterday. We'll learn from it and kind of keep moving. But yeah, I want to one game at a time. I want to take all of these. That's how I approach every series. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
We had somebody watching on YouTube, NY, who says you seem like you're frustrated. I know that frustration happens all the time, right? It happens game to game. It can happen inning to inning, I'm sure. As a manager who tries to keep it pretty consistent, where do you feel like you are right now when it comes to that?
If they think this is frustrated, they need to see me when I'm frustrated. No, man, like you need to be able to lead well. You need to be consistent. I say this about our guys and different stats. Like one of the best compliments you can give someone in this industry, I think, is just calling them consistent, because it's hard to be. It really is. There's so many ups and downs. You play 162. There's weeks, man, where it's hard to come in and you're extremely frustrated, but you can't show it. And there's times where it's easy to come in and you're on a run and everything feels good and food tastes better, wine tastes better. It's just great, right? So to be consistent is one of the hardest things to do, and not allow others to sense where you're at one way or another. That's when you're leading well. So with this young group, man, the last thing they need is volatility in anybody that's helping them lead, whether it's me or a staff member. They have to be able to see that we show up and we're the same every single day. And it allows them to kind of mimic that and learn how to be consistent regardless of what's going on in their world, on the field or off the field. So no, my level of frustration right now, it isn't. We're going to continue to lead well. We're going to continue to show these guys how to play the game the right way, and we're not in as bad of a spot as you may think.
I've seen you frustrated, that's for sure.
I know you have, and this is far from it. Yeah.
By the way, NY also said, when someone said I should have seen Oli's parade of excuses, I missed it. And NY said he didn't make a single excuse. So he was also backing you up in there. And on that note, we appreciate you. I mean, you come on, you just did about 30 minutes straight there, answering our questions, answering fans' questions. We appreciate your time. We know you have a call. You got to get on here, and it has been a treat, as always, to have you on the Gashouse Gang, Oli.
No, I appreciate you guys. Thank you for the questions.
Thanks, man.
Fans deserve it, so you got it, man.
Thank you. The manager of the St. Louis Cardinals, Oliver Marmol, with us on KMOX's Gashouse Gang. Don't go anywhere. Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji will join me next for a conversation about what we just heard, and we're going to give away tickets, Cardinals tickets. That's coming. You're listening to the Gashouse Gang on KMOX.
Wake up informed. Wake up empowered. Wake up to Total Information AM, your morning must.
Hi, this is Debbie Monterey. I'm Megan Lynch.
This is Tom Ackerman.
From local news to breaking headlines to weather, traffic, and the stories that matter most, we've got you covered before your first sip of coffee. Expert analysis, bright perspectives from the people you trust. Total Information AM, your day starts here. Mornings beginning at 5 on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
Hey guys, Glover here with my friend Mark Cantor at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, so I take this very seriously. Mark is a great attorney. He has a great team. He is from St. Louis. He is local. Call 314-628-9999 or visit cantorinjurylaw.com.
The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be solely based on advertisements.
It is 90 degrees in St. Louis. Feels like 97. Going to get some thunderstorms in areas this afternoon. Temperature is going to drop into the high 70s when that happens.
This report is sponsored by McKelvey Homes.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan at McKelvey Homes. Have you always wished for a brand new home in an established neighborhood? Select one of our move-in ready custom homes throughout St. Louis, or we will build on your lot. Visit McKelveyhomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Price varies based on product and subscription plan.
Hey guys, let's talk ED because millions of men experience it, but not everyone can access or afford treatments like Viagra. Well, Hims can help. Through Hims.com, you can get a full range of treatment options for ED, including daily or as-needed meds through a 100% online process. It all starts with an online intake form. Get started at Hims.com/joy, and from there, a medical provider licensed in your state will determine if ED treatment is right for you. If prescribed, your medication is shipped to you for free. Find the ED treatment that fits your needs with options up to 95% less than the brand names. Millions of men experience ED, but Hims can help. To start your free online visit and save up to 95%, go to Hims.com/joy. That's Hims.com/joy for your free online visit. HIMS.com/JOY.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. No, we're not one of the big guys. Truth is, we don't want to be. If you're over 50, Big Wireless probably has you paying for more data than you might need. You could be throwing away thousands over a lifetime. We're not here to be the biggest. We're here to bring you something we believe is better. Our plans start at just $20. You'll get the same fast nationwide coverage without the big wireless bill.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, Green Gobbler here. So you've got a clogged drain in your bathroom. Water in the sink's overstaying its welcome. You're spitting today's toothpaste on top of yesterday's toothpaste. You hope that it go away. Yeah, clogs don't just go away. I make them go away. I'm Green Gobbler, the only clog dissolver you need. I'm bleach-free, safe for your pipes, and I work. Guaranteed or your money back. Because I never met a clog that was going to unclog itself. Green Gobbler. Let the gobbler get it.
Charlie Brennan once again with Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. Dr. Bosler, is it possible we might say, oh, those kids are mumbling, when the problem really is our own inability to hear?
Exactly. Hearing is integral in everything that we do. It keeps us involved and embraced in life. Not hearing someone is never normal. Ringing in the ears is never normal. And when people have a hearing loss, oftentimes they complain that they can hear, but they cannot understand people. And avoiding getting a hearing aid can have long-term effects on the speech reception area of the brain. So what that means is if you test and treat the hearing loss early with a hearing aid, we can prevent a decline in the speech understanding that can happen if the hearing loss goes untreated.
The words of Dr. Colleen Bosler at the Audiology Center. 3 locations in St. Louis, 636-441-7470, the Audiology Center, STL.com.
Named one of Newsweek's world's best hospitals for 2025, Anderson Hospital is your hospital for life, delivering exceptional, compassionate care to families across the Metro East. From emergency services to specialized treatments, our dedicated team supports your health at every stage. Experience world-class care close to home. Discover the difference at andersonhospital.org.
Now back to the Gashouse Gang, sponsored by Saliga Heating and Cooling and by Anderson Hospital on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Always great to be with you, and for you sticking with us, we are going to give you an opportunity to win 4 tickets to tomorrow night's Cardinals game against the Nationals to caller number 6 in honor of the great Stan Musial. 314-955-1120. 314-955-1120. Caller number 6, you are going to win 4 tickets to the Cardinals Nationals tomorrow. With Chris Ranji, Bernie Miklasz, I'm Tom Ackerman. Bernie, what did you take out of the conversation with Oli? I'll tell you one thing that jumped out at me is he said, hey, pitching changes aren't always a managerial decision. There are a lot of people involved in that, and he's about to get on a call about that very topic.
Yeah, I think it's important to reiterate that Oli doesn't control the roster. In fact, no manager controls the roster. Maybe back in the glory days of Whitey Herzog, he controlled the roster because he was the de facto general manager. But there's a separation of church and state, if you will. The front office or the head of baseball operations has absolute authority over the 26-man roster. But once the roster is handed to the manager, then the manager has authority over that. Now, even that is not as simple as it sounds, because if Oli Marmol, let's just say hypothetically, went to John Mozeliak and he said, look, we've got 2 starting pitchers in our rotation. They're killing us, and we're gonna go over the cliff unless we can do something about this. So I'm going to put both of those guys in the bullpen. Or, can I ask you if you would consider designated Michaelis for assignment? Okay. Oli Marmol can ask those questions, and some fans think that he should go into the office and start throwing chairs or something. It doesn't work that way. So if John Mozeliak is adamant, and this is true of Walt Jocketty with Tony La Russa, it's true of any head of baseball operations. If they are adamant in opposition about what something the manager wants to do, the final authority does in fact lay on the desk of the guy who's making all the baseball decisions. Yeah, it does affect what Marmol can do with the 26 players he has, but he can't go in there and basically demand that the Cardinals give the boot to 2 starting pitchers who have become liabilities. So he's doing the best he can, and I think a lot of the times he doesn't work out. But if you give me another minute here, really quick. But even that's complicated. Okay, the reason why, granted, the rain out in Chicago kind of messed things up, but the reason why Gray didn't start any of the Cubs games is because Gray is very set on his own routine. He's on a different schedule than other starters. He has to do things his way. And by the way, he's not the only starting pitcher where that's true, but it kind of limits Oli a little bit there, just like Ryan Helsley has his routine. And, he doesn't want to pitch in a non-save situation. He doesn't want to pitch for more than 1 inning. He doesn't want to do this. He doesn't want to do that. I mean, so it's kind of tough when you now fans might argue, well, that's why there's a manager. He should make those decisions, not the players. It doesn't work like that in modern baseball. All of these managers very much bring their best players into the loop because they what they think really matters. So we can fuss about that and say, Oli's a figurehead or he's this or he's that. But we've got to be in touch with reality about how the game is run in 2025. And Oli Marmol has got some limitations about what he can do.
I think that's the most important thing, which is difficult to understand because you sort of, I don't know, I think baseball fans a lot of times look at their manager in the same way we would look at an NFL head coach, that the influence on the field, that there's play calling, there's constant play calling, right? that your hands are in everything. But it's not really like that in baseball. You do make the lineup, you do make pitching changes, but you're not at the plate deciding when to swing or not to swing. You know, you're not calling pitches from the dugout. In some rare cases they are, but that doesn't really happen all that often. So I think people think the influence is a lot greater than it is. You can create a good environment, which is important. And I don't have any reason to believe that he does not create a good environment. And I would even go the other direction. If you argue that Oli's not doing a good job with this team, I might go the other direction, that maybe they'd be slightly worse if he weren't there. Not significantly, but I think they might be a slightly worse team than they are right now. If you like the Pythagorean number, I mean, sometimes we reference it. I don't know how accurate it is, but they're a game better than it. You know, so you can make the argument they're actually, the results are slightly better than what they should be or could be otherwise if he weren't the manager.
Yeah, I mean, listen, did any of us expect them to be 5 games over 500 at this point and a game and a half out of the playoffs? I didn't. I thought that they were going to be a mediocre team under 500 and probably not in contention. And, you know, for the record, I've criticized Oli Marmol about a lot of things. He'd be the first to tell you. We talk about stuff. He understands I have a job to do, and he doesn't always like what I have to say, and that's okay because I do have a job to do. But I'm looking at, for example, we have a comment from someone listening to the show. So it's J.N. Gorham. He says, so it's right to blame Mozeliak. It's right to point to the players to have to perform, yet no one is allowed to challenge the manager's performance. With all due respect, who in the heck said that? This is the kind of thing that just drives me nuts. Who says that no one can criticize Oli Marmol? This means you're one of those Oli haters. And again, I have no problem if someone just comes out and says, you know what? I just don't like the guy. Okay. I wish they had another manager. I don't have a problem with that. You know why? Because it's honest. But let's not mask it. Let's not mask your dislike under some kind of baseball premise, because it has nothing to do with that. Oli Marmol gets ripped a lot. Some of it is justified. Some of it is not justified. And a lot of it is really naive because you assume the manager has this all powerful superhuman authority over everything. And that's just not the case. And I don't know how it could be that possible to be so out of touch with the team you supposedly follow. People can rip Oli Marmol all they want. I will be fair about it. So if you don't like that, I don't care. You can feel as you wish to feel about Oli Marmol, but I don't have to go along with it to pander to his critics who hate him for reasons that have nothing to do with his managerial performance.
Yeah, it's quite simple. The manager of a baseball team easily gets the most criticism of anybody. I mean, there are too many games, there are too many moves, there's too many conversations, too much availability. They get criticized more than any of them. I mean, you go back to Schilt, to Matheny, to La Russa, we all questioned their moves. And by the way, they barked at all of us. I mean, it's just the way it is.
So many confrontations with Tony La Russa. One other thing real quick. Let me look at it. Let me do it this way, and I will be quick. All right. If you listen to a good percentage of the fans, I can't say exactly, but it's a lot of fans. Ownership's failed the team. They don't spend money. They let this decline. They like that decline. They're not committed to winning. They're not committed to winning. You hear that all the time. They're not committed to winning. You hear fans talk about Joe Mozeliak. He should have been fired years ago. He's terrible. Look at this roster construction. Look at how come they're not spending more money. Terrible roster construction. They haven't drafted well. They haven't developed well. So if you all are saying that about ownership and management, and frankly, there's a lot of truth to that. Well, why would you then expect Oli Marmol to like build some superpower team, given what you're saying about ownership and the front office? Like you're saying the ownership and front office have like let everyone down, but yet you somehow think Oli Marmol's got the superpower to overcome all that. It doesn't make any sense, people. I love you, but it makes no sense.
I'll tell you what makes perfect sense. Two things. Doug from Staunton, Illinois won the tickets, by the way.
Hey,
the other thing is your love for Saliga Heating and Cooling. Tell us about it.
Why? You know, it always comes after I get hot about something, huh?
Anyway, cool you off. Yeah.
Saliga Heating and Cooling is a Daikin Comfort dealer. Has been taking care of St. Louis family since 1927. My friend Dan Saliga is the fourth owner operator of that proud family business. And we have been a Saliga family calling on Saliga for 16, 17 years. And I understand why they've been around since 1927, because they're great at what they do and you can trust them and they have utmost credibility. If they weren't great at what they did and they weren't honest and trustworthy and good, you think they'd still be around coming close to 100 years now? The same family running that business? I can tell you what the Miklas family can share with you after lots of experience with Saliga Heating and Cooling. Their knowledge of the business is fantastic. Their knowledge about even how to treat customers is fantastic. They are honest. They don't try to upsell or hustle or talk you into something expensive you don't need. In our experience of people we know, like our neighbors, no, it's the exact opposite. They'll suggest cheaper solutions if you have a problem. That's their integrity. And they're very classy when they come into your home. So you can trust all of these things. One final thing, take a look at the Priority Club. It's a maintenance program that will save you money because it extends the life of your equipment, and you also get some other perks. To find out more about Saliga, go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com. Thank you.
Many of you know that my inspiration for becoming an accident attorney was my brother Tim, who was rendered a quadriplegic at age 18. I didn't know what a personal injury lawyer was or what they did, but I soon did. Tim was treated terribly by the insurance company, and I became enraged. It was a constant delay and deny. I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan. Tim later worked with me for 27 years. Last year, my hero died at age 65. You can see my eulogy for him by visiting mybrothertim.com. He was one hell of a man. Because of Tim, together we built the largest injury firm in the world, and our clients are treated the way I would want my family to be treated. At Morgan & Morgan, nobody is a nobody and everybody is a somebody. If you need our help, visit forthepeople.com on your phone or computer. See you soon, Tim. Morgan & Morgan, forthepeople.com.
Injured? Dial Pound Law or visit forthepeople.com for an office near you.
Two legendary bands, one epic night, Collective Soul, and Live are bringing the rock to St. Louis. Catch their summer unity tour at Hollywood Casino Amphitheater July 17th with special guest Braylon James Rue. Don't miss your chance to hear such hits as Shine, December, I Alone, and All Over You. Collective Soul and Live. Tickets can be found at Ticketmaster.com. For more info, KMOX.com/events.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fire Capital Management for your retirement highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, registered investment advisors. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
If you're drowning in IRS debt and can't afford to pay, then you need to take advantage of special IRS tax programs that are available and free yourself from IRS collection efforts once and for all. Due to the financial hardship consumers are facing throughout the country, the Internal Revenue Service has made it easier to settle delinquent tax problems. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Take down this number or store it in your cell phone, but call the Community Tax Helpline at 800-536-9607. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back, or even if you have years of unfiled tax returns, there's no need to fear anymore. But you have to call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-536-9607 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-536-9607 for your free consultation and to see if you qualify. That's 800-536-9607.
Hey St. Louis, this is Ben Barnett, board certified master arborist with Timberline Professional Tree Care. In my nearly 30 years in the industry, I've seen firsthand what damage falling trees can do to your property. The sad thing is that most trees that fail have defects that can be identified by a well-trained certified arborist. At Timberline, we have 7 ISA certified arborists, 3 of which have gone through extensive training and testing to become tree risk assessment qualified. Our track certified arborists can perform a thorough assessment of your tree and provide mitigation options for your peace of mind. If there's nothing wrong with your tree, we will let you know that it poses a low risk of failure. If it needs to be removed, we'll tell you in a detailed written report. It's all about honesty and integrity here at Timberline Professional Tree Care. So call us today to get a tree risk assessment scheduled. 636-479-7475 or contact us through our website at stltreecare.com.
Today,
The Cards, the Nationals.
Ameren Total Access 550.
Cardinals Radio, 104.1 FM KMOX.
And Cardinals Radio for many years to come. We thank you all for joining us today. Our big announcement today, a multi-year extension. We're excited about that. We're excited about our show with Oli Marmol. Cardinals play tonight at 6:45, 5:50 pregame for Bernie Miklasz, Chris Ranji, Matt Pajeski, Frank Ladd, Oliver Marmol. I'm Tom Ackerman. Thank you for joining us on the Gashouse Gang.
Rolling.